Hi everyone, it is Sunday night, and you are actually getting 2 videos today. I know, right? And neither one of them are going to be 2 hours long. Who would have ever thought? Anyway, I had gotten back tonight. I went and, my husband and I went and visited with my parents and my aunt and uncle, and we grilled out and just kind of hung out. We're helping my dad with some things around the house that they're selling. So anyway, earlier today I had reviewed the Stuffed Animals Jade Summer coloring book. So if you haven't seen that yet and you're interested, please go over and take a quick look at that if it is Sunday night US time, because it is a Jade Summer new release, and when it flips over to Monday, it'll go back up to the usual price, or it will go up to the usual price of roughly $7. So right now they have it on sale for $3.99. So if you think you might be interested, and I apologize, I do not know all of a sudden why I seem to be having allergy issues. Yet another reason, I guess, to get through this fairly quickly. But right now it's at the introductory price of $3.99 for the physical copy. And just remember, if you get the physical copy, you also get a digital copy that comes with it, because it will have a code for you to go redeem. Anyway, it's a really adorable book. I think it might even replace Baby Dragons as my favorite Jade Summer book, and that's saying something, trust me. So if you haven't seen that yet and you're interested, just go back to my videos. It's the one from before, or obviously the one right before this one. Anyway, I figured since I had a fairly short video earlier, maybe I can keep this going. I have a lot of ideas for something I want to do this month, and it's a video series, and I've been kind of running it around in my head, and I'm pretty excited to get started on it. So I figured tonight I will go ahead and run through my completed pages for August, and hopefully tomorrow, if everything goes well, I can go ahead and start out the series. And ooh, suspense, gotta build it up. But I will say, before I get started, again, welcome to all the new subscribers. I was able to get in last minute into color and chat with Sammie's colourathon last weekend, and I was able to pick up a couple slots, and it was so much fun. I was so glad I did it. Of course, I was nervous, but it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing it. I will certainly sign up again for the next time that she has one. So for all of you that are new, welcome. I probably need to reintroduce myself and stuff, but I just really don't have time tonight. I'm trying to keep to a sleep schedule, and I will have to talk about that in more detail probably tomorrow. So what I will say is, feel free to go back and check out some of the other videos I have. I've only been recording since June, and the beginning of August was the first time I ever live streamed. So anyway, welcome. And then to all the people that commented on my video about Kal-El, and again to the ones that commented for Fleroy and for Felix, thank you so much for doing that. It really helps. I don't know. It just, knowing there are other people out there that get it when it comes to pets, I mean, that just makes a huge difference for me. And between that and my husband being as supportive as he's been, all of that has made this easier. I mean, it hasn't been easy, but I would have been in a lot worse shape for a lot longer had I not had my husband there, support, and pretty much all of you guys on YouTube. I mean, every time this has happened in the past 2 months, it's just, I get blown away by the number of comments. So thank you. And I will reiterate and say, when it comes to that, a lot of times, I mean, you guys know what I'm going through, but in a lot of cases, you don't know what kind of day a person's having, what kind of life, what things are going on in their life. And sometimes just a simple comment or a like on their picture in like a coloring book group on Facebook will make their day so much better. So I appreciate all of you, and I'm so glad I started this channel. I was super nervous at first, but so many of you have been so supportive, and I love making my rounds and trying to catch up with videos. I try when I can, but obviously the last few months have been kind of crazy. So without further ado, since we're 5 minutes in, I did say I was going to try to keep this one short too. I know, right? So these are the completed pages for August. I had one page from Fanciful Faces that I have been working on since like mid-June when I first started this channel. And I was so close to getting it done. And I was trying, like, I felt like I was under, you know, if I didn't get it colored before it hit September 1st, like, I don't know, the coloring book was going to blow up in my face or something. And at one point I just said, okay, this isn't going to get finished. Because now I also want to do a black background using one of my new Pip pens. So now that I have something else I want to do with it too, yeah, no, that's not getting finished this month. So I had 2 work in progress pictures that I am currently working on that I couldn't get done. And then I have a couple others that have turned into long-term works in progress because I have not gotten back to them. So overall, I think I did pretty well. I did do a lot better this month with a number of pages that I completed. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that I just had to kind of chill. You know, if I want to use markers, then use markers. There was really only like 1 or 2 that I really spent a lot of time blending and using techniques on. It was just the kind of month where I couldn't focus on anything really complicated. So I just kept it easy. And now for September, I don't know. I have an idea, but it's pretty ambitious. So we will see. And I really hope that September is better than the past few months have been. So at the beginning of September, at the beginning of August, goodness, at the beginning of August, we had National Coloring Book Day. I think it was August the 2nd. In honor of that, I decided to suck it up and try a live stream. I was terrified. And I had so much fun. So much fun. So I decided I was going to try to do that weekly. I think I did another one the next week. And then everything just kind of fell apart schedule-wise. And I think I did one on Sunday because I couldn't do one that Thursday. And then, yeah, it's just been kind of a mess. And I'm still trying to figure out what day I want to live stream with and the consistency of it. So just keep tuned in for that, because like I said, that's still something I'm working on. During that live stream, I decided to try to keep it simple because I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. And with the chat window going, there would be no major blending and shading, at least right now. Hopefully I'll get used to doing that more. In honor of Dover Month, or Creative Haven Month, hosted by Anne from A Colorful Life, Grace's Coloring Corner, and Sharon Sanctuary, I started off with a Creative Haven book. Creative Haven books are one of my absolute favorite sets of books. I love their paper. I love their designs, their selection, just everything about them. And so I started off with this one. And I kept it simple. I stuck with Bics and Sharpies for this. This is by Marty Noble, by the way. For those of you that haven't seen a flip through of it, this is what they look like. I love the black background. And I decided to actually color another mandala picture from this. I really like this book. So this is the one I finished. Now, I finished this on camera. Yeah, I did. It took forever. But I actually finished this on camera. And that is quite a feat, especially in one go. But again, I just tried to keep it simple. I didn't have any sort of color idea. This was considered a carefree coloring type page. And if you don't know what that is, I explained it in some previous videos, and I'll try to explain it in more detail maybe tomorrow. But I just kind of picked colors that I liked and wanted to go with. I started veering off into some pastels, which is not normally my type of thing to color. And I was kind of like, I don't know about this, but it turned out really nice. And I'm really digging it. So for a lot of you, I know it's intimidating to think you have to blend and shade everything and you can't just straight color something, but you can. You can straight color something and make it look just as good as anything that was heavily used. Somebody used a lot of techniques on. So there's that one. Oh my goodness. It didn't, my nose didn't start doing all this till, of course, I hit the record button. So apparently I was on a mandala kick at the beginning of the month. I did a review for this. It is the Animal Mandalas coloring book by Jade Summer. It's their newest release that was released this month. And I did a digital flip through because I do receive advance review copies of the book. And since I didn't have a physical copy when it went on sale that weekend and was actually released, I found some computer recording software and we did a digital flip through. I thought that worked great. And I actually would prefer using that probably in the future a little bit more. So I flipped through this book on there. And then I'll just show you some of them here. So again, you've got your duplicates. You know, all these images have duplicates. I'm usually not a huge mandala fan. Surprisingly enough, I know. I keep saying that. But I like the wide variety. This one was really pretty. I like the wide variety of animals in this. And just looking at them, I was getting a lot of ideas. I love the little chipmunks here. And then the little bunnies. So what I did at the end was I printed out one of the images on watercolor paper and started using these, which if I had to pick my favorite thing of the month and my biggest surprise, it was these. First off, I didn't know they had watercolor pencils until recently. So I printed this out on watercolor paper and I used those pencils with a water brush and it turned out so good. First off, this reminded me that I need to do more water-based media coloring because I really do love it. I don't know, it's one of those things that stresses me out maybe the least. I can spend a lot more time blending and shading with a water brush and be happier than trying to use, color pencils for 3 hours. So yeah, that's all I used here. And I think a lot of it got a little bit of a boost for using watercolor paper for sure. I couldn't have done that in the actual book since it's really thin paper. I would have likely had to use gesso first in order to do this. But it did. They gave pretty good color for Crayolas. I'm just sad that they only have a 24 pack. I'd like to see them come out with more. So, and like I said, I just kind of picked colors at random and it turned out wonderful. This might be my favorite. I think this might be my favorite picture this month. Just because, like I said, it really was a surprise. All right. So, Shelleen over at the Coloring Book Nook, sorry, Shelleen, did Pawgust. And I'm kind of sad because I didn't do more of these pages because, I mean, obviously I love cats and that is like the perfect color line for me. I just ran out of time. So I picked this book up just one day. I just wanted to mess around with some markers. And I wanted to get out my Copics because they are still intimidating me. And this is like only the second or third time I've used them quite a bit. So I told myself I was going to use them and I was going to get over it. I don't think that I accomplished much on that, but I'm more comfortable with them now than I was. This is A Day in the Life of a Cat. This was one of the first books I think I got when I started doing adult coloring. And like a bunch of other coloring books on my shelf, I hadn't thought of it till I just picked it up and started paging through, and I love this book. This is printed by Genius Cats. I didn't really see an actual illustrator name, so we'll go with that. But I love this book. And this first picture, if I had to pick a coloring picture that would describe my life perfectly, it would be this one. Especially now that I've gone to 2 meals a day, those little suckers will not let me sleep. The longer I'm in bed, the more cats pile into the bed. And when you have a 23-pound cat trying to sit on your chest to wake you up, he will wake you up. So I just used my Copics on this. This paper was surprisingly good quality. It's actually not a very toothy paper, and it's a smoother paper, which ideally marker paper is usually like that. So I don't know exactly what kind of paper was used, but when I started using the Copics and I figured out I could blend a little bit, I was super stoked. I was like, oh wow, this is a really nice find. This is a really good book. And I don't think I've seen a lot of people do flip throughs of this one. But anyway, this is supposed to be Maggie and this is supposed to be Tiger. I didn't do so well with Tiger, but Maggie's actually looks really good. So you can see I did a little bit of blending. Just, I felt inspired to do it. But for the most part, it's just straight up coloring. I think I did this during the second live stream. So, and just to kind of show you a couple pages. Woo! There we go. Beautiful art in this. You have a great mixture, like right here, of really detailed images that you can just run away with. This one's would probably be number 2 in describing my life. If I'm in here typing, apparently that sound means we got to get up in her lap to about 3 or 4 of my cats. So that right there is Maggie, though. He doesn't have any stripes, but I could just color him all black. It'd be fine. So anyway, super cute pictures. I'm really looking forward to getting back to this one. So anyway, I was very pleased with that when I got done. I did not expect it to turn out looking so well. So towards the middle of the month, I got a little overwhelmed. I'd had Flearoy pass away about 3 weeks ago. And you can go back and watch the video about that, which of course I lost Felix last month, and that's still been kind of a rough go. Then Flearoy, who was the not my cat, okay, kind of my cat, stray, I had taken him in thinking it was something minor. He had FELV and FIV, and unfortunately I had to go ahead and let him go there because he was going to suffer if I tried to bring him back home. And then when I went to pick up his ashes, I had to bring in one of my permanent residents, Cal. And again, thought it was something minor. And last Monday, they found a really large tumor. And again, he would have suffered if I brought him home. And yeah, that one kind of broke me, especially because that one was so unexpected. And I'd had Cal for about 10 years. I have so many fun videos and pictures of him because he was such a goofy little brat. I'll have to put all those together one day and kind of show them like I did Felix's. So, like I said, though, at that point, I knew I needed to do something and just color, like to take my mind off of things. I think this was between Flearoy and Cal. And let me tell you, it's pretty rough when you're going to pick up the ashes for one cat and then you're having to send another cat for the same thing that day. So yeah, hadn't lost any cats for about 7-8 years, and then I've lost 2 permanent residents, but 3 total in less than 2 months. So yeah, this has not been a good summer. I'm looking forward to the fall, and I'm hoping the fall will be fantastic. Let's keep our fingers crossed. So I picked up another Jade Summer book that I had purchased. I did a flip through of this. I think it was one of my first videos. I had a Jade Summer kind of extravaganza flip through of all the books that I have and kind of showed what media works really well on them. And this Mermaid coloring book, I think, had just been released. And again, classic Jade Summer with like the duplicate images and the one-sided. These were just like super cute. I don't know what it was about these. A lot of the Jade Summer stuff is not quite as detailed. This is actually a page that I tried using gesso because I was using Tombows as watercolors, and this was Copics. I think these were Colorit, trying to show how they could blend together. And because of the type of paper, if you're going to use like watercolors, clear gesso is the way to go on this paper. So again, I wanted a page that I could just, I think I used mostly Colourits on this and my Colorit gel pens to add a little bit of sparkle. I've seen this page as I've flipped through it a couple times, and I absolutely love it. And I just kind of started playing around with it, and it turned out really fun. I really like it. I was pretty happy with how our skin tone turned out. And I love the little sparkle that I could add with the Colorit glitter pens, just in little places, you know. So again, a pretty fun one. Just kind of a quick color to get my mind off of things. That was the thing, guys. I didn't do a lot of technique this month. With everything that's been going on, a lot of times I just kind of went with the easiest option. So hey, it worked for me this month, and I guess at the end of the day, you're going to get a variety from me. And some months it's just, there's not going to be a lot of heavy technique pictures. So Zoe Archer she shows a lot of color by number books on her channel. And she inspired me to go and try them, because the more I saw her using them, the more I liked them. So because it was Creative Haven month, I went by Ollie's. If you've been around for a while, like Ollie's, at least right now, is the place to go for Creative Haven books, because I keep going and I keep finding them for $1 each. And these normally could run anywhere from $4 to $7 usually. So really good deal, and probably more books than I needed. But I have some plans to remedy that. So again, we'll talk about that more later. This was my first color by number book. And I got a new set of Prismacolor markers. They were majorly marked down. Well, they were definitely, it was a 72 set, and those normally run at least a couple $100. And I can't remember what price they had. It might have been $100 or $150. And I thought, I tried a few, but was hesitant to get them. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to get these. And I absolutely love them. Love them. And I think the reason these were cheaper is because it's a chisel tip and a fine tip rather than a brush one. The set with the brush tip is more expensive. So, but if you don't mind the chisel tip, and I actually quite enjoyed using that in the fine point, and then I would recommend that set, especially if you can get it at a discount. So this was the first color by number I did, which I screwed up from the get-go, because there's supposed to be some red in here. And apparently I didn't quite read the numbers right. But it still came out really beautiful. And like I said, this was all Prismacolor markers. So I kind of fell in love with them messing with this page. I like this page so much, and you can see it on the other side. Ooh, this shows you how juicy the markers are. I'm doing air quotes. I know you can't see it. Juicy markers, which always makes me just cringe, because it's like using the word moist. It just don't sound right. I don't care who's saying it. Anyway, I don't know a better way to describe them. So you can always tell that a marker has a good amount of ink in it. Good gracious, what is my neighbor doing? Oh my gosh. Boy, I hope y'all can't pick that up. Man, that's some... Anyway, you can tell how much ink is in these markers, because, I mean, that's pretty much the image on the back page that has bled through. So these are really nice markers. And here, I liked it so much that I did the next page. And you can actually see on the back, it looks really pretty this way. I mean, it's nice on the other side, but this is really cool. So here's this one. It was a pretty simple one. This was the one I was probably working on beginning of last week, where I just needed something simple to color. I love this book. I really now want Color Quest, which is like $10 on Amazon, and I already am having issues with not buying coloring books. I did better towards the last half of August, but I've had a few points where I've made exceptions. So anyway, I love these, and I will definitely be using them more in the future. Then on the colourathon, well, you know, if we keep this at 30 minutes, guys, this is actually short for me. I know you're sitting there thinking this shouldn't have taken 30 minutes, but trust me, if you've been watching my videos, 30 minutes is like 5 minutes for probably most other people on YouTube. So, hey, this isn't too bad. For the colourathon last weekend, I had 2 different hour-long slots, and I wasn't feeling too great. I'd had some health issues get worse around the middle of the week before that happened, or before the colourathon, but I didn't want to say, no, I'm going to back out, because I really wanted to participate. I did not prep very well, and it got to be like 10 till 8 or whatever for my first hour, and I hadn't picked out anything. I had no plan. I was just like, all right, well, let's just stick with the classics. Baby Dragons is probably one of my favorite books, and this one will be completed probably before a lot of the other books are. This may be the first book I complete. A lot of Jade Summer this month. I don't know. I actually colored this one, and I can show that in a minute. I really like this one. This might be my next one, actually. I really thought about doing that one. But anyway, they are super adorable. I've done the front image of that too. These are super adorable. I absolutely love them. This, yeah. See, there's so many. Anyway, again, I figured out, let's just keep it simple. And I picked a page from this. I was not sure if I was going to do any sort of shading on it, so I went back to the awesome Prismacolor markers, and I started using them. Now, this is really thin paper. It is one-sided, but you want to have a page, something inserted behind it to protect, you know, the next page. So this was all Prismacolor marker, and it was a random color choice. I picked that green color for the dragon. And have you ever, I've said this in my Instagram and stuff, have you ever had a picture like just from the moment your marker or your pencil touched the paper and you started on, you just knew it was going to be a hot mess? I mean, and that was me. I had colored the dragon this color, and I promise you, the moment I did that, I'm sitting there going, what have I done? Because this is not a palette I would have normally picked. I just started picking colors I thought looked nice, and so I did that. And then I went with the lighter green and then the orange, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh no, what do I do now? I colored the mushroom top one color, didn't like it, came back with a purple. One thing that helped me was I use this in a similar palette for a challenge on Marjorie Sarnett's Facebook group. I used this back in April or May. I picked a color palette like this because it was a challenge for me. I'm used to more like reds and more vibrant type colors, more like reds and blues and bright oranges and stuff. I'm normally not veering off into the cooler color palettes. So certainly a challenge for me. This was Prismacolor marker, and then I also tossed in some Colorit glitter gel pen for their wings. And I really use those pens a lot this month. I really like them. They have refills, which is fantastic. I've never seen that in a set of colored gel pens. Goodness. And it also came in its own sparkly case. And I know I've shown this a few times, but I just love it. So sparkly. Anyway, they've pretty much been the only gel pen I've used this month, and I need to fix that. But I decided to add some of that. Now, with those, I found 2 layers will give you a lot more sparkle. One usually only gives you just, you can see it there. One layer just kind of gives you like just a shiny, you know, effect. But if you use 2 layers of the pen, you get a lot better results. So yeah, I colored a little bit of it on camera. Then I tried to finish it up off camera, and I was sitting there going, what do I do? What do I do? I mean, everything was just pretty much like just a Hail Mary. I'm like, okay, let's try this. And oh, okay, that looks good. And then at the end, I really felt motivated to do color pencil over it. And I used my Prismacolor pencils because I figured that would make sense since I was using the markers. It'd be interesting to see how they work together. And they work together well. Anything that looks weird on this is pretty much from my own incompetence, because I need to do more blending like that more often because I get out of practice. And this thing, I just fought with it. The dragon looked weird. Their skin started smudging. I mean, it was just... But I got done with it. I'm proud of myself for actually seeing this through. And it turned out okay, but it's certainly not one of my favorites. But I apparently took it as a personal challenge, and I said, I am going to finish this. Dang it. Well, I didn't say dang it, but we'll say dang it for video purposes. And there were probably a few more words in that. But this is the one I was doing on the very last day of the month. I was like, I really want to actually get this done. So, hey, I got it. Now, last but not least, yeah, we'll get around the 30-minute mark. It's not too bad. This was one of the flip throughs I had for the month. Yet another Creative Haven book. Oh, and I forgot to mention, there was another color along, and that's why I was happy I picked this one, because I didn't even think about it till I started it. Zoe Archer, as I mentioned before, she was doing a Fairies color along in August, and so this was for her color along. So I managed to pretty much get all the ones that I see on a regular basis, and I was pretty happy about that. Like I said, I accomplished a lot, really, in the grand scheme of things. Now, it may have not been hours and hours of shading and blending, but I'm actually pretty happy with what I did, and it was what I needed to color for where I was at the time. So that helped immensely. Forcing myself to try to do something when I wanted to do it to start with, and then I start getting frustrated, I got to stop doing that. So this was a book I flipped through. I actually bought this during the National Coloring Book Sale at Dover. This is a stained glass coloring book. Now, I believe these were a little more common maybe a year or two back on YouTube. I had never seen one of these until I got this one and the Creative Haven Pirates one, which is also a stained glass. And I was really curious. So the way these work is you color the page just like you would any other time. And then let's say you tape it up in your window or something, it's supposed to give like a stained glass effect. And when I was looking at these, I'm like, that's really neat, but what do I use to color with? So I looked and looked on YouTube, and I thought, this would be a great thing to kind of test some things with and figure out what works well with these. So this was the page I was working on. I think this was a video. Yeah, this was a video I loaded. I had seen that both color pencils and alcohol markers do well. So what I had done in that video was this whole first layer was permanent marker, Sharpies or Bics. And this was the same type of colors in Crayolas, color pencils. And when I was looking at it, I mean, obviously the marker is going to give you a bolder result. So I did prefer the markers over the colored pencil. But again, this might be a situation where you can use both too. This is the first picture I've ever done with this type of paper, so I'm looking forward to doing more in the future. So this turned out really neat. I went back over the colored pencil with marker, and it actually deepened the color. So I pretty much put a second layer on this, and it just made it a lot more vibrant. And it's really, I mean, like, I can't show you guys how this would look. I don't have a window, and it's like 11 o'clock at night. Or I have a window, but not one where sun's shining through at 11 o'clock at night. So I held this up, and it is really neat. I actually really like these, and I'm excited to try one in the Pirates book next. Apparently, I seem to have a fascination for pirates in my coloring books and my coloring pages. I did one last month for Hannah Lynn, and I really enjoyed that one. And then with the stuffed animals, I have one there. It's a pirate cat, or I think it's pirate cat. I can't remember. It's a stuffed animal. It's adorable. So that's pretty much it, guys. I didn't do, I guess, too bad. I wish it had been a little shorter, but that's okay. Again, like I said, I pretty much doubled the amount of pages I completed from like July. So I was really happy with it. There are some other color alongs going on this month that I'm excited to participate in. And From a Colorful Life is doing Artist of the Month for Jennifer Stay at coloringbliss.com. I am actually a member of that site, so I can print out off her coloring pages that she offers. I may do some of those. I'd love to get a custom book from her, but again, see previous discussion about I need to curb this whole coloring book thing. I know, right? Like that's a problem we all seem to have. So at least I'm in good company. And okay, I've drawn a blank on the other ones. Grace is doing a fantasy over at Grace's Coloring Corner. She's doing like a fantasy magic kind of color along. Then Color and Chat with Sammie is doing something very similar. It's I thought it was Disney to begin with. Oh, fairy tales. She's doing fairy tales. So she was coloring, I think it was Belle. So for the month, she wants to do From Beauty and the Beast. So fairy tales is hers as well. I know Zoe's got one, and I can't remember offhand. Oh, Adorable Animals in Grayscale. And so we're actually working on a book this month, and that was one of the books that I had a weak moment with. And I was doing, sorry if my voice sounds off. I'm trying to find it. There it is. I was doing so well with not getting coloring books. And then I saw her go through this book, and I'd already seen a couple other people, and I'm like, I want that book. So this is what Adorable Animals is. It's by Jane Mayday, maybe? This is a big book, guys. Like, I could not believe how thick this book is in terms of pages that you get. So that's pretty amazing. I was very impressed by that. Anyway, this will be a really fun book. I also haven't done a lot of grayscale, so this will be a great way to challenge myself. I love this one. This one's cute. I have an idea for this one. And of course, you can see there's cats. Hey, another rooster. But you get tips in the start of the book and stuff. It's super cute book. I mean, yeah. Here we go to 40 minutes. Look at that. I mean, even with the Jade Summer books, where they have duplicate images, mind you. So, you know, really half the book is like the original images, but just for comparison purposes. This is the Jade Summer one. Look at that. Now, granted, some of the pages in here are like examples and additional information on how to color these, what you could use, but still, it's not as much as you would think. And I mean, wow, this is probably the most coloring book for your money I have found to date. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Yeah, I remembered them. And I'm sure there's a couple more color alongs going on. Hopefully I can find those. If you go over to Shelleen at the Coloring Book Nook, she, I think on Fridays, does kind of like shows or talks about what the color alongs and challenges and stuff for the month are and who's hosting what. So she's a good resource for that kind of thing. So on top of all these, I have an idea for something. And I'm pretty excited to try it. It's going to be a video series. And I hope it really helps some people when it comes to making decisions with coloring. And it's something that just, I don't know. It hit me the other day, and I've just been kind of thinking on it. We'll see. I mean, even if I just do a couple videos, if there's a lot of interest, I'll continue. If life gets in the way, you know, it's one of those things that doesn't all have to be done in September. Yes, I know, again, adding to the suspense. hopefully tomorrow I can do that video because Tuesday's going to be pretty busy at work. So if I don't see you guys tomorrow, though, I will see you here in a few days. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to having a pretty good September, too, when it comes to figuring out what I like to color and hopefully using more water-based media and watercolors in the future. So thanks, guys, for watching, and bye for now.